Excellent.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Tam Pham from botacademy.com. You might see on the bottom that it says Andrew Warner. That's not me. I don't think I look anything like him. I'm just using his Zoom account because it is massively powerful, and we want to make sure we have enough space for everyone to come in to the Zoom chat. So, my name is Tam. I run I run the content at Bot Academy, and I also teach the course with Andrew. So I'm really happy to see many of our paid students here, many of our public community here, to learn about Zapier and Manychat. And I'm so grateful to have Dan on here. Dan runs growth at Manychat, among many other roles that he does. And we've been talking about Zapier for many months before this. We've talked about it before it was happening. We talked about how it looked like. We talked about it when it was in the testing stage. And now it's actually out. It's actually published. And people are using it. And I want to welcome Dan. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It's always good to be here.
Awesome. And Dan, tell me, why should people be so interested in Zapier and Manychat, or just Zapier in general? Like,
Sure.
what's so powerful about that?
It's an excellent way to start this. I think we were discussing a little bit earlier about how people are getting really wrapped up with, well, what does it do and how do I implement it? So why is this important? Well, the reason why it's important, and the thing I'm going to lead with, and the thing that I'd love for you all to take away from this, if you take away nothing else, is that people would much rather have a conversation with you on Messenger than to fill out a web form. Okay, so what the hell does that have to do with Zapier and Manychat? Well, for a long time, up until very recently, like in the past few months, really, there's not a lot of ways to get information from people online. I mean, there are several ways. None of them are really optimal. I remember when I was doing web design, there were consultants that all that they specialized in was optimizing web forms. So they would rewrite the JavaScript. They would cut down any additional HTTP queries so that the page would load faster. They would do mapping, like with the old crazy egg tool, and they'd see who's clicking on what when, what are they hovering over, just to figure out how they could get a few more responses for the same amount of ad spend. Okay, here's the thing. In Messenger, people are already communicating with you. Like, they're used to giving information freely to their friends and family about what they're doing, what they're thinking about. And they're doing that with businesses. So what I'm asking you to do is rethink how you're collecting information from people for the purpose of doing lead generation, lead qualification, and trying to figure out if somebody is the right fit for a product or service in your business. Instead of thinking about the old way of doing things, which is web forms, start thinking about how you can start collecting that information in Messenger, because people are so keen to give you so much information so fast because they're not filling out a form. They're having a conversation with something. Does that make sense?
Oh, of course. That's
Okay.
so awesome. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious, everyone who's watching now, we have about 60 people here, and it's going to keep growing as the workshop goes on.
Yeah.
Leave in the chat, why do you want to learn Zapier and Manychat? Is it for your business? Is it for your client's business? Are you just interested in learning about new technology? I'm very curious, and I think Dan would be also curious to see what people actually want out of this workshop. So
yeah, sure.
I'm seeing both. Love having my data in one central place. Nice. My own business. Awesome.
Yeah.
Both. Wow. Okay, everyone's just building everything
Yeah.
for everything. All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. So how this workshop will go is the first 15-20 minutes or so, Dan has a couple things prepared to show us use cases on Zapier and Manychat, and the last half of this workshop will be all based on your questions. So after 20 minutes or however long it takes to see the use cases, we're gonna ask everyone in the chat for questions. I'm going to be moderating the chat and watching it very closely to make sure everyone's participating, and also what questions to answer. And then I'm going to choose one and hit it with Dan, and Dan will work his magic and share about how to do it.
All right. Nice.
Sounds good. All right. So Dan,
Tam, case in point, man, you just asked a question of people about why they're interested in being here. And look at this chat. It's full of information that we could use to qualify these people in some kind of a sales process. So imagine being able to do that at scale in Messenger, and then being able to collect these data points and then shoot them into your CRM or shoot them to your email marketing provider. So to circle back to Zapier, That's what Zapier enables you to do with Manychat. Manychat is just the front end that lets you ask the questions and have the conversations. And Zapier, with the use of our custom fields, can send that information wherever you want it to go. So that's fascinating, because now a lot more businesses are using Messenger to qualify leads than they are with web forms, because you get better engagement, you get information faster from people, and you can serve people faster in Messenger. So case in point.
Yeah. Better user experience.
So where are we going next? Yeah, exactly.
All right. You mentioned you had a few things prepared, some practical use cases with Zapier and Manychat. I would love for you to, if you need to share your screen or.
Sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fire up those tabs. I want to keep it kind of simple because, again, the takeaway here is Messenger is an amazing tool for qualifying leads. And what that means is the point of doing any kind of like digital marketing is really to figure out who you should be talking to and what kind of messaging works for that kind of person to lead them to some conclusion. Now, if you're doing digital marketing for a business, hopefully that end thing that you're shooting for is a sale. So what you're doing is you're optimizing all of these conversations with people to get to that sale faster. That's really what any good marketing organization is trying to do. So what I'm going to show you right now, for example, this is just an example of something that a lot of people are doing to qualify leads and to get people interested or aware of their products. It's webinars, right? We're doing one right now. A lot of people are doing webinars because they work really well for top of funnel. Like if nobody's ever heard of you, the barrier to entry of them spending 30 minutes or 40 minutes with you, or maybe even just spending 10 minutes dropping in and out of a webinar is kind of low. And sometimes you can hook people that way. Sometimes that's the first touch with somebody. Also, webinars are great for like the bottom of the funnel, where people have known about you for a while, but they're not quite sure which product or service to choose. Like they know that you do stuff, but they don't know exactly how it fits for them right now. Webinars are a great way to close business as well, because sometimes people just need that last touch. So I'm just going to show you really quickly how to sign somebody up for a webinar inside of Messenger. So they never have to leave Messenger. They never have to like go to a landing page to sign up for something. All you have to do is ask them, hey, do you want to join my webinar? And you can immediately get them signed up in GoToWebinar using Zapier. Does that sound interesting to you guys?
It does to me. I read webinars.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Like, so, yes.
So let me see how I can share my screen here.
Can you
sorry.
do it at the very bottom of Zoom?
Yes, I sure can. So be aware when I do this, it's going to take over your screen. And I think that there's a little setting on the top that you can adjust.
Sure. And I'm really glad, as you show your screen, I'm really glad that you're sharing the high level things. It's really important to understand like where you're coming from before we go into the tactics. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, when you get into granular detail about how to implement things, it's really easy to lose track of why you're doing it. So the reason why I wanted to keep it so simple is because what I want you to learn is to use Messenger as a way of getting information from people. It just converts better than web forms. It's way more engaging. And unlike web forms, you now have a platform called Manychat where you can re-engage and remarket these people based on the answers that they give you. Try doing that with any web form like software, Okay, so can you guys see my screen? You should see like Zapier, and you should see a bunch of zaps. Are we good? Yes.
Okay, I'm going to turn the ones off that we're not going to demo right now, and then I will show you those later. So GoToWebinar is kind of a popular one. It's been around for a while. It's by a company called Citrix. I'm sure some of you have used it. So let's go and see how we set it up, because this is kind of the meat and potatoes of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask somebody in Messenger what their best email is, okay? Just for the sake of this test. And when they submit that email to me, I'm going to update their contact record in Manychat and then send a zap to GoToWebinar that says this person signed up for a webinar. And what's going to happen when they sign up for that webinar automatically is they should get an email from GoToWebinar saying, hey, you just registered for this thing. So if this is a successful test, whoever tests this with me live right now is actually going to get an email from GoToWebinar, because you will have registered for a dummy webinar in like 2027 that I set up in GoToWebinar. Okay? So here's the first thing you need to do. You need to jump in, and you need to you need to make sure that you're connected to Manychat. So the first thing you need to do is set up the trigger. What we're using for this test is an updated custom field, okay? The key to using Zapier to get data from Manychat to other tools is custom fields, all right? So before we even go forward with building this out, I want to show you where to do that. In Manychat, you need to go to settings and custom fields to start collecting custom data on people. It's really, really simple to do this. I'm going to move my, this Zoom thing just takes up so much screen real estate. Okay. All you have to do is create a new custom field and you say, I don't know, favorite pet. And then there's several different types of inputs that you can accept. And these are your customers' favorite pets. Okay, create. You can create any arbitrary custom field. I mean, you can pretty much have a data point for anything that you could imagine here. I've set up a few here already.
Your email.
For a lead. Yeah, exactly. Like email is pretty important. So I think the first thing you should do is probably set up a custom field to collect people's email addresses. For a lead qualification for a consulting business like the one I ran, I really want to know, first of all, the name of your company so I can do a little bit of research on what stage you're at. And then if you're a decision maker. So through various questions, I can figure out if you're the person I need to be talking to. If I'm selling into the enterprise, that decision maker could be one of 9 people. If I'm selling to a startup, that decision maker is usually the CEO or the product lead. So that person is somebody I want to talk to. And I'll show you something really cool later. If that custom field were to get updated, I can get a notification in Slack right away if somebody fills out some information so I can get back to them immediately. Okay, not get ahead of ourselves. First, you need to set up a custom field because otherwise you're not going to really be able to do anything with this. So that being said, let's go and make sure that we are creating a trigger in Zapier to update a custom field when somebody triggers that. And that's what's going to trigger the entire Zap cycle. So we're going to continue. We're going to make sure that we are set up with the right Facebook page. I have so many Facebook pages. We're going to continue. This is where you're going to find the custom field. So now Zapier is talking to your Manychat account, looking for all the custom fields you set up. See, look at, this is the one we just set up, favorite pet. So you want to make sure that you're picking the right one to update. So here we are. We're going to make sure that we have the email. We're going to continue. And the test is successful because I just updated an email address in Manychat. So continue. Now that Manychat knows what to do, we need to tell it what app to send that information to. So again, when somebody replies to that flows with their email address, where are you going to send that email address? So what I'd like to do is create a registrant in GoToWebinar. And all you have to do is just add the action and make sure you select GoToWebinar and then create registrant. And what this is doing now is it's going to talk to GoToWebinar and it's going to send whatever information you give it. So luckily we get first name from Facebook. So this isn't even Manychat specific. This is the first name of the subscriber from Facebook. You put your first name in, you put your last name in. Again, you get this from Facebook, okay? And then user custom field email goes over there, okay? So what happens now is when you press continue, you're telling Zapier, please, when you see an updated custom field called email in Manychat, please zap that information over to GoToWebinar. We've confirmed that it's working. We're going to continue, and it's on. So this is the fun part because I'm going to give you guys and I think it is give you the link to this landing page, and I'm just going to make sure that this is set up correctly. I want this to ask you for your email address. Yes. Okay. This is another cool part because this is actually where you ask people for their email address, for example. I created a quick landing page, like a fake webinar registration landing page in Manychat. And if you click on the send a messenger button, it asks you which email I should send the webinar confirmation to. For this, you want to use the input block. And all that this does is the input block here, when you ask somebody a question, you can tell it, what you want to collect. In this case, I want to collect an email. And it will actually validate if that's an email or not. So if you type to me at or you didn't have me at some random thing.com, it's not going to accept it. It's going to look for valid email addresses, and then it'll shoot you an error if you don't type the right thing in. Another thing that's really cool is you just map this right to the custom field. So when somebody types the answer, which should be their email address, you can just map it to that custom field we set up already. As soon as that happens and it's a successful input, Zapier sees it, and that's when it'll get zapped over to go to webinar. So I'm going to delete this because this was just an example, and I'm going to make sure that this is published, and I'm going to give you a link to this landing page, and I'd love for you all to go through this and test it. So let's go back to this one, setup, copy to clipboard, and I'm going to drop this into chat. Is that all right?
Yes, do this, please.
Okay, I'm going to try to find a way to do that. Chat.
The chat should be at the very bottom.
Yes, got it. All panelists and attendees. Okay. So that's the landing page. Just click the send to messenger button and give it an email address that you can check right now. And it'll probably could take up to a minute for all this stuff to happen, and we can just keep talking through it. But what you should see is a messenger window open up. Give it an email address when it asks you for it, and then check that email address in 10, 15 seconds and see if you got a webinar confirmation. That would be pretty cool if this actually works.
Awesome. I'm doing it actually right now.
Cool.
But this is awesome. I love how also you can, if you go back to the opt-in actions and you see the message, what you did was if you go to opt-in actions,
yeah, sure.
To the message, what you did was after the user input, you enter the custom field back into the text saying, hey, check this email for your confirmation.
Exactly.
And that email will show as like tam@botacademy.com. I'm like, well,
exactly.
how'd you know that?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really cool feature that a lot of people don't realize we have is we have these liquid tags that you can use. And if you just do a left curly Q bracket and do another one, see this little menu pop up, you can grab any variable. So this is where you would find that. If you wanted to read an answer back to somebody that they just gave you, you can put any custom field right inside of your text.
Yeah.
Really
like you mentioned your favorite pet was a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a gif of a corgi or something.
Exactly, something like that.
So Gabriel asked a question. He asked, why not ask for the email on the landing page?
All right, this is a test because this is assuming you've got a conversation going with somebody already.
Yes.
A lot of you are brand new to this and you're not subscribed to my random test page. So this was a way of me getting you into a conversation today. Now, if you've got somebody already on your list, for example, you've got a list of people who've indicated that they might be interested in a webinar, you can broadcast a message to them with that exact flow and just say, hey, I've got a webinar coming up. Are you interested in joining? Yes or no? They hit the yes button and you send them okay, cool. Which email should I send a webinar confirmation to? So it's like, really, this is an awesome tool for remarketing. Like if you've got a list, if you're building a list inside of Manychat and you want to find new ways to get in front of people, webinars are a great way to do it. People are already doing it. You're basically just using Manychat as a way of getting that conversation started so you can get, first of all, an email address from them and then get them to show up to a webinar. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I mean, you're doing it within Messenger. So this is just like an example of like a landing page.
Yeah.
But in a real scenario, it'll be like a sequence or a broadcast.
Exactly.
A seamless transition. People said they got the email. It works. Paco said it works. Lisa said it works.
That's cool. Awesome. I like when stuff works. So do you guys see how this could be kind of exciting? Like you're asking somebody to take action in Messenger and it's remote controlling some other piece of software. That's kind of what Zapier, that's why Zapier is so cool, because Zapier turns Manychat into a marketing remote control for all of your different marketing softwares. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty neat.
Awesome. My chat is acting up, but I see some questions, Dan. If you see any questions that you think is important to answer, then we should definitely address it.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. I have a few people who are not entering their emails first time. Messenger sends them a message to subscribe. They're subscribing to the bot, but not email list. Okay, so think of Messenger as just an interface through which you can have conversations with people. That's what it is. So they're not going to automatically get subscribed to an email list or something. You know, you have to give people a reason to do that. And Messenger, like all you're doing is just automating getting their name from Manychat into your email marketing software or something with Zapier. Imagine you're having a conversation with a person, like if you're sitting across the table from somebody and you open a conversation with them, their email address isn't automatically going to sync with your CRM. Like you have to ask them for their email address, and you have to give them a reason to give it to you. Messenger is just a way of having a conversation. So don't try not to think of it as some kind of magic thing that suddenly knows all this information about people. That's what I would say to that question.
Awesome. We got a lot of questions coming in. Let's go with Ingrid. She says, do I have to use my Zapier account, or should I use the client's Zapier account?
That's completely up to you and the way that you want to do like data management for your business. I think that there's no reason to have more than one Zapier account, because if you have a pro account, you can basically just set up tons of Zaps for people. And I think you can also put them into folders. So you could have a folder for one client and a folder for another client and be running Zaps all from the same account. If you're the service provider and you need control over what's happening and you need to be able to jump in there and debug a Zap that isn't working, definitely make sure it's in your account or that you have easy access to the account either way. Like just think of it from your own perspective and how you're going to be able to serve that client quickly if something goes wrong. That's what I would say.
Awesome. I've noticed, Dan, also on your Zapier account, you had a bunch of different tests set up of different use cases.
Yes.
Would you be open to sharing that screen again and seeing what kind of use cases we can do with Slack and other?
Yes, certainly. So we just did a webinar registration, for example, and that was a successful test, which is really cool. Let's go jump over to some other things that we can do here. So I'm going to go back to the Zapier dashboard here, and then let's turn this one off. Well, we can keep it on, I guess. No, I want to turn it off. So, because I don't want it interfering with any of the other Zaps I might want to test here. So let's see what might be cool.
So I see Infusionsoft, I see Slack, I see Mailchimp.
Yeah, let's
Google
do
Sheets.
Mailchimp, because again, this is just another example of how to get an email address from Manychat via Messenger into another platform. So if you're doing digital marketing, and if you've been taking this seriously, like you probably are already doing email marketing. In fact, a lot of our best customers are people who are like career email marketers and Facebook ads buyers and different acquisition strategies. And what they're doing is that they're just building Messenger into the communication stack. Messenger has better engagement. People are clicking on this stuff, they're reading this stuff, and email, it's kind of going the other direction. Less and less people are reading emails, less and less people are even opening emails. So Messenger is an amazing tool for the digital marketer's arsenal because it is where people's eyeballs are, and it does two things. It lets you follow up with people, and it lets you collect information from people. So it's like rolling web forms and a follow-up mechanism like email into one tool, which is really cool. So let's figure out if we can do something here with Mailchimp. I think I have a demo set up in there so that it will send you a follow-up message or like a welcome message. So imagine you are any kind of digital product, you're doing some kind of digital product sales, or really you're selling anything, and you want people who get onto your list to get a welcome sequence via email. That's pretty standard. Like you want to keep those touches going. You want to keep talking to people until they basically tell you to stop. So let's go to Mailchimp and see what we have set up here. We have just a welcome message for people who join our Messenger list. And I would recommend anybody get anything like this set up. Like it's good to touch people from that's going to sound terrible. It's good to have multiple touches.
To communicate
via multiple channels. Okay. So I have this simple welcome message set up, and let's just see how I set this up. Let's go jump in here. And okay, cool. So the same thing, new updated custom field. Somebody puts their email address in. And then what you can do is you can update a subscriber in Mailchimp. So this is cool. You add that new subscriber. And by the way, you can also update an existing subscriber with Mailchimp in Zapier as well. So if you already have a list and you're cross-promoting things between email and Messenger, you can kind of keep both of those tools synced using this Find a Subscriber, which is pretty cool. So we're going to continue just to make sure everything's working. Yeah, everything should be working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a ref URL widget. That's what I'll do. I'll send you a ref URL, and if you click on that, it's going to ask you for your email address, and you should get a follow-up message from my Mailchimp account. So if you want to test this again, if you want to see, yeah, this is perfect. Let's do this. Setup. Yeah. All right, I'm going to type this to everybody. Please give this a shot. And if you click on that, that's a ref URL. That's going to open a Messenger conversation. It's kind of a special kind of URL. It opens Messenger and it opens a specific conversation. Type in your email address there. You should get a follow-up email from MailChimp to that email address. And while you're doing that, I want to show you something that's kind of cool about Zapier. Zapier figured out really early on that people are always trying to figure out if their Zaps are working, and there was really no easy way to figure that out early on. When you're doing software that's teaching people how to do an outcome of some kind, you have to build tooling in that's going to show people if it worked or not. That's what analytics are. That's what stats are. So let's go look at task history. And what you can do is you can actually look at all of the Zaps that are firing right now historically, and you can test to see if it's working. So as of right now, we have a bunch of people testing this, which is really cool. And you can see it real time as it's happening. You can also filter by Zap to see if it's working and who it just sent to. So let's just go look at the most recent one. Yeah, so this is cool. Let's look at the data out. So Carrie just filled out this form, and we know that by looking at the task history. So that's just a little thing for you, just a little like hack for you guys. If you are worried that stuff's not working, go straight to task history and see what's going on in there.
This is all super, super, super useful.
Oh, good.
Even like the nuances, like the task history.
Right. Yeah, a lot of this stuff you wouldn't know unless you just went in there and fiddled with it a lot. Okay. So everybody's satisfied. Who got a welcome message?
Anyone get the email yet? I didn't get it yet. I think I'm still waiting.
Yeah, it might take a minute.
Awesome. Well, so Joan got it.
Nice.
W. Nice.
Yeah.
Yet. Cool. Got
Nice.
into my spam box. Just came in. Okay. Spam or promotions? Ingrid, Juan. Nice. Awesome.
So yeah, again, this is just a proof of concept to show you that you can trigger events in other applications by using conversational actions in Messenger. Like just try to wrap your head around that, because you're not asking people to do anything like click a button or like go to a landing page. Like you can get information from somebody, and just by them saying something to you, you can initiate automations. Like that's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Awesome. I know there's a lot of questions in the chat and also in the Q&A, but I do want to make sure that you got everything that you wanted to share, Dan. Is there anything else that we should be listening to or missing, or should we just go straight into Q&A?
Yeah. So let me just show you, let me see if I can share this. So I have the Zapier test channel set up in Slack. Can you guys see my Slack screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully it's the right channel, because this is the literal actual Manychat Slack. So Zapier test. This channel is really just to test different webhooks and different things that we're trying here at Manychat. But I wanted to show you these last two Zaps that I fired this morning before I got on with Tam, just to test, because what you can do if you are in inside sales, if you're a sales development rep, or you're an AE, or you're doing any kind of, if you're a part of the sales process and you're having conversations with people in Messenger, you can trigger automations based on stuff that they say. And if they say the right stuff, you can tell Zapier to shoot you a direct message in Slack. A lot of people have Slack open all the time, and they might not have Messenger open all the time. So the thing is that especially for busy people, they turn their Messenger like notifications off. But I know a lot of salespeople who keep their Slack notifications on. Those are the only notifications they actually have on their phones. Their phones don't even ring. So if you want to reach a salesperson, you say the right thing in Messenger, you can get pinged in Slack, which is really cool. You can do this via Zapier. And you can push any custom field data into Slack as well. So see how I shot somebody's first and last name and the email address that they gave me, and then it told me which webinar that they signed up for. Like you can push all of that information into a quick snippet into Slack and tell it what like just some basic information about who this person is. And it's a great way to weed out conversations that don't matter and just use Slack as a way of having only the best conversations. So you're getting that ping in Slack, jump into Messenger or email them and continue the conversation. So for inside sales teams, this is a really great tool.
So Dan, say I'm a salesperson working for a company, and I'm assuming when someone, how do I get notified? Is it when the action on Manychat is triggered when it says notify admin?
No,
That would trigger a Zap?
so you can do that. What I'm showing you here is what you can do with Zapier to be more nuanced. So maybe a sales rep doesn't want to get a messenger notification because that's where they talk to their wife. They don't want to get constant notifications when leads are showing up at 4:00 in the morning. What they can do is they can set up a Zap that triggers only when a custom field is updated, for example,
I see.
or when somebody
like a webinar or Mailchimp.
Exactly, or somebody says, "I'm a decision maker at this company," or you can flag certain company names to trigger. You could actually trigger all of this based on a keyword in Manychat. So if somebody writes to you from Coca-Cola, "Hey, I represent Coca-Cola," you can shoot a Zap straight into Slack and say, "Hey, somebody from Coca-Cola wants to talk to you. You should probably get back in touch with them." That kind of a thing. It's a way of filtering the most important messages using these abstractions like Zapier and Messenger conversations.
Got it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Qualifying leads.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So one more thing I want to tell you is possible, and this is really cool because this was an update that we pushed like 2 weeks ago to the Zapier integration, is the ability to search for email addresses inside of Manychat. So we've been talking about how to get data from Manychat to other tools. Well, now with this new version of the Zapier integration, you can actually trigger automations in Manychat based on actions that people take externally. So imagine that you're a Shopify user and you are selling products in there and you're messaging people in Manychat a certain way if they haven't bought from you. But the moment that they become a customer, you don't want to keep sending them the same drip content. So imagine being able to trigger a tag change in Manychat when somebody buys something from you that says, anybody who has this tag, stop sending automation messages. Well, you can now do that with the new version of Zapier, which just came out like last week or a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember. And you can do that by searching for email. So as long as their email matches, so whatever email they use to buy the product in Shopify, if that email matches an email in Manychat, you can add a tag to their user that says, don't send anymore. And you can filter those people out in broadcasts and subscriptions. So from a marketing automation standpoint, this new way of being able to sync subscriber data from tool to tool using the email as the universal identifier, that's all now possible with Manychat. And there's some people who are already setting up some really sophisticated stuff.
Mic drop.
Yeah. Boom. So, yeah, I was testing that this morning with our Stripe account. So you can grab your secret key from Stripe, and you can, for every new customer that gets created, you can try to see if they are a Manychat subscriber, and then you can just tag them on the fly and exclude those people from broadcast promoting a sale or whatever you want to do. So really, from a marketing automation standpoint, all that you're doing, the end goal of marketing automation is to say the right thing to the right people at scale. That's all that you're doing with marketing automation. So this is just another tool that helps you say the right thing to the right people, or avoid saying the wrong thing to people who don't want to hear from you anymore because they already gave you their money.
Got it. Awesome.
All right.
Want to go into questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm in the Q&A right now, and 2 people asked, how do I get the name over to Manychat? Or how can I get the name over to MailChimp if it only zaps the custom field?
It doesn't only zap the custom field. You could certainly get the name over there as well.
So I'm sure you get to, like, on Zapier, you got to add another thing like field name, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's go back to the dashboard.
Yeah. So 3 people asked this. So it's like a big question.
Newer updated custom field, add update subscriber. So what you can do is you can add you can create another Zap with a new trigger that says, because there's several different types of triggers. So let's actually review all the triggers that you can have, because I think that would be useful. So let's go back to the dashboard, just create a new Zap. Here we go. MailChimp. Wait, no, we want to not use MailChimp as a trigger app. We want to use Manychat. God, I'm just like juggling all these Zoom tabs. Oh my God. Okay. Manychat. Okay, so check this out. New updated custom field, new subscriber, new tagged user. So check this out. If somebody explicitly opens a certain chat with you, you can trigger this. There's a trigger a Zap event, so you can attach that to a button. Somebody clicks a reply button, for example, you could fire a Zap. You can update a tag in Manychat and trigger it. You can update it for every new subscriber that comes into Manychat or the custom field. So let's just see if we can get this. We'll just do new subscriber. And let's go down here. And let's go save and continue. Fetch and continue. Luckily, we just got a bunch of new subscribers because you guys were good sports and tested with us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say this MailChimp. Okay, what we're going to do is, okay, add update subscriber.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to save and continue. And that's the one I want to use. Okay, we want to add them to this list. Wait, where is it? This is the list I want to add them to. This is the email I want to add to them. This is, it should be custom field email. Or let's just type in email. Huh. So this is where you would look for all of the things that you can grab from Manychat.
Yeah,
User
perfect.
custom fields email. So that's the one we want.
Mm.
Double opt-in, we don't need that. Let's see. I'm wondering why it's not giving its name should be. There we go. First name. So you need to go down to the bottom here and click more options because it doesn't assume that you're going to want to push name. So this is where you would grab the user first name. This is where you would grab the user last name. And this, again, this is from Facebook. You continue. And what this Zap is going to do is when there's a new subscriber, it will automatically push all of their information that we have. If it's first name, if we have a first name and a last name, which we have to, if they're coming from Facebook, and if they have an email address, it will shoot them and create a new subscriber in MailChimp. Does that answer your question?
3 people asked that question, so I think it does. You clearly got the first and last name. So awesome.
Yeah, you get first and last name. Basically, you just have to create a multi-step Zap. There's several different ways to do it, but this is probably the simplest one to do.
Nice. Johan said yes, it did.
Nice, cool.
Awesome. Cool. I see a lot of questions that's very specific, like technical issues.
Okay.
I think that this is like not everyone uses that specific software, so I think this webinar would be best used, or this workshop would be best used for questions that help everyone in regards to Zapier and Manychat.
Yeah.
This one's an interesting one. Emmanuel asks, is there a way to send info from a Zap into Manychat? So the other way around.
Yeah. So remember how I said you could, for the use case of an e-commerce provider, where you want to update a tag in Manychat based on something somebody buys, for example, that's something you can do now. So let's go back to this this one I was fiddling with earlier, this Stripe integration.
Yeah, the Stripe. Mm-hmm.
So what I set this up to do is that when there's a new customer created in Stripe, what I want to do is I want to see if they exist in Manychat. So I want to add a search function to this Zap. So there's a few different types of things you can do here. First of all, you need a trigger for every Zap. All right, you need some reason for it to know when to start doing its thing. And then you can add filters and actions. So let's just look at this. Let's check out what filters are. Basically, these are conditional operators. Like you can tell it, only do this Zap, only do this next step if, and then you can like tell it to do a bunch of stuff. That's a little bit more advanced, so we're not going to mess with filters right now. Mm-hmm. But let's check out what the search function could do. So again, you just have to press this little plus button and do an action, all right? And those actions can be searches or just regular actions. So search here, what I want to do is I want to search for this new customer's email in Manychat. So I need to go through this process, make sure that we're connected. I think we're good. Find user by custom field, for example. Look for their email address. Continue. And what I want to look for is an email address. You just have to kind of go through here. All right. User custom field is email. So I want to go through here and find custom field, email. So what it's going to do is it's going to try to validate the email that somebody gave me in Stripe and see if that person exists in Manychat. If they are, if they have this particular email address, I want to do an action on them called add a tag. So this would add a tag to them called, and I think I called it, let's just see. There's lots of validation steps in Zapier because they want to make sure that you're connected and all that stuff. So it takes a little bit of patience. But basically I want to tag them with a tag called already bought.
Nice.
If they exist in Manychat, it will tag them with this. So that's one example of how you can get data into Manychat via another tool. Like somebody updates a contact record or they fill out a web form, for example. You can actually get that information into Manychat via Zapier.
Awesome. Emmanuel says, awesome
Cool.
as well.
Cool.
And it's just so powerful because when you broadcast in Manychat, you can exclude those people who already bought. Or
Yes,
you can
exactly.
exclude a certain group and focus and make it more targeted. Awesome. Zach asks, what about sending info like appointment times that were set somewhere else into a reminder in Manychat? So I'm assuming someone schedules a call with you, Dan, through Calendly or whatever software. Can Manychat update them like, hey, you have an appointment with Dan soon? Or is that like not set up yet because of the software in Zapier?
Yeah, so those are really cool because that capability would essentially open up a ton of different use cases. One of the things that I saw earlier, somebody asked about cart abandonment. Like, imagine being able to send somebody a follow-up message in Messenger with a tease or a coupon for some other product to get them back into the cart. Whatever, anybody in e-commerce, there's lots of tactical, execution that you can do to get people back into the cart. Messenger would be a great tool for that. There are abandoned cart tools for Messenger. None of them work that well. The reason why this is tough, you can do it. By the way, this is absolutely possible. It just takes you have to be clever about how you're setting up the zaps. And sometimes you have to set up like multi-step zaps. I don't have an example for you today. I haven't really tested this extensively, but it is possible. And I know people who have tried it and who are moderately successful with it. The problem is that when there's a failure that happens in Zapier all the time, which is if it can't find the contact record in Manychat, it'll just die. Like the Zap will just die. So it's great if you have an email address and you can validate that user in Manychat. Like if you have that subscriber in Manychat already, these Zaps work perfectly and you can do stuff like what you just said. But if the user isn't already there, sometimes the Zap doesn't know what to do next, and they don't have good error handling built in yet. I know that that's something they're working on. So to take this into non-techie land, sometimes when a Zap searches for somebody in Manychat and doesn't find them, the whole Zap will break. And what you're talking about right now, like triggering those kinds of messages to people, like follow-up reminders and stuff, they are just going to break if it can't find a contact record in Manychat. Now, if somebody signed up for that Calendly invitation via Manychat, which I think you can do if you have a Zapier account, or you can use a similar software, you might be able, because you already have their contact record in Manychat now, you might be able to seamlessly do that by just reversing the Zap basically and creating a new Zap that fires a message 10 minutes before or something like that. I'm pretty sure I've seen people doing stuff like that. Don't have an exact example for you, but if you are a tinkerer, this is the time for you, man. Get in there and mess around with it. And if you build something compelling, shoot it to our community and we'll feature it. We're like on a blog sprint right now. So if you build something cool, totally, like just do it. Let me know how it goes.
Thanks, Dan. I got another question from Josie, one of our star students in Bot Academy.
Nice.
She asked, can you give more examples on Manychat and Shopify Zaps? Like it goes beyond more than just like checking their customer. Stuff like setting up like order updates or like tracking info or shipping info or so on. Is that possible?
It totally is. Again, it's tough if you don't have the subscriber in Messenger already. So what I would do is, as part of your checkout process or after the checkout process, send them an email with a ref URL. Get them into the system in any way that you can. Because once they're in Manychat and Zapier can see that email address and know that that's the person you want to be talking to, you can set up a Zap in Shopify that says, when there's an order update, send a message to this subscriber. And what it's going to do is it's going to want to sending it to the right person. So an email is a great way to like have a universal identifier that says, okay, the person who has this email address in my system in Manychat is also the same person that has this email address in Shopify. Without that email address, it's really hard to know if you're messaging the right person, and Zapier will just fail. So what I would say is, please ask people for that email address in Manychat. If nothing else, but to have that universal identifier that you can use to sync between systems. So it's definitely possible. It's much harder if you don't have an email address to sync with.
Yeah, I love all these like nuances that you're bringing up, because most people will like use Zapier and Manychat and not get any of what you're saying.
Right.
Because not what you're saying, but they won't get these little things like, oh, why had this happen? It's because of that like universal identifier and
exactly
so on. So I'm really thankful for you sharing. I know we have 10 minutes left, and I'm looking at some of the questions now. Anyone have any more questions? Go ahead and leave it in the chat or the Q&A. I'll be monitoring and seeing all of it.
Cool.
Awesome. I see some questions and they're just like, oh, how do we get a person's picture to show up with a name? I'm like, it's not really related to Zapier specifically. So help, support, please. So
nice.
Ask a question, yo.
I know a good therapist if you need a referral.
Awesome. I see one question. So Dan asked, does it work with Webinar Jam? And I think Zapier works with many different softwares. If you look at Zapier, you can just see all the different softwares it has.
Yeah, this is something that we get this question a lot, just about, hey, does this integrate with this? My support minions don't know all the 700 pieces of software that Zapier integrates with. So if you have a question about this, I'd highly recommend going and checking out Zapier's documentation and seeing which apps that they have. Chances are they have it. They have an unbelievable repertoire of applications that they connect with. But if you have a question about how you can set this up, Zapier is the tool that we're relying on to pipe the data, and they're the one who has built all these integrations with all these companies. So we don't do a direct integration with anybody yet. So Zapier is the person to talk to about that if you have a specific question.
Yeah. Emmanuel asked, can you show how a Zap can trigger a chat response though? Or does it only passively update a custom field?
Yeah, so sure, you can absolutely trigger an actual text response, and you can set that up here in the action. So let's just add another one, another action to this Stripe one, for example. Sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for Manychat. Send text message to user. See this? You can actually send a message to somebody as long as they exist. So let's go see if we can validate someone based on an email address. Save and continue. User, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find the user from back here, custom field value. The custom field value is the email address. Remember how we're using email address as a universal identifier. So let's just refresh these fields. New customer email address. We can use it. We can get that from Stripe, or we can get it from the previous steps in the Zap, which is pretty cool. Actually, let's just, anyway, this is, there we go. User custom fields email. That's what we're looking for. If this user exists, we can send them any arbitrary message here. And we can also pull in custom fields. So that's pretty cool. So any custom field you have on this user, any tag you have on this user, you can treat this almost like the Manychat like conversation builder right here. The only problem is you can't add buttons or anything. It's just plain text. But you can trigger actual text messages to users. So if you have an order confirmation, you can absolutely pull that information in from Stripe. I mean, you could grab any information from anywhere and be like, here, this is where you put that information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make more sense?
Your order number is blank, and that's
exactly
that field that connects to Stripe or
yes,
whatever.
Sir. That's exactly where you do it.
But in most cases, if you're not doing that, you can just send a message right after in Manychat.
Mm-hmm.
Like after the user input, you just had a text blocks, huh?
Yes, you can.
Got it. Cool.
Yep.
Gabriel asks, his Manychat isn't syncing up with Zapier. I think that's a technical issue. Gabriel should definitely just contact the Manychat team.
Yeah. If you guys want to speed up service, one thing I highly recommend for any of these issues where shit just breaks, and it happens all the time, just the way this is, I would highly recommend dropping the Facebook page, like the URL to the Facebook page, at the very least the name of the Facebook page. And that's going to help my support minions like figure out which page you're talking about. And that just start there, because if the first thing that my people have to do is ask you like what page you're even talking about, because some people have like 17, 20, 30 pages that they're managing on Manychat, it'll add another 2 hours to your response time, simply because we have to like go back and ask for the page, and my minions will just move on to like bigger, spicier problems that they have to deal with right now. So just a life hack: if you want a quicker service, give us as much context and screenshots, and at the very least page like URL or page name, so that we can get back to you sooner, because then we can just jump right into your account and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, Gabriel's like, how do I contact support? Definitely on Manychat.com. There's a bubble that pops up.
Yeah, if you have a pro account, there's a chat bubble, and you can always send an email to support@manychat.com. And the community is also a great place to get support right now. We have an awesome like community person in there. His name's Andre, who is kind of like super responsive, and if you have something that's on fire, he'll know how to escalate it.
Awesome. So a guest asks, so what's up with Manychat being beta on Zapier still? Is that a short-term label? Is there more things coming out?
Oh yeah. So the way that as it turns out, getting a or an app approved on Zapier is incredibly difficult. They vet their partners extremely well, and they want to make sure that you have a really stable platform. So the way that they do this is, to even get a beta, you have to go through an entire testing process. It's almost like an exam where they stress test the API, and you have to show how people are using it, and you have to document it. And there's just simply a waiting period before you're fully listed. It has nothing to do with like for us. We're all in the clear with them. We have like a solid foundation with them. We've submitted documentation. We're like approved. We just have to reach a critical mass where they have enough data on the fact that it's mostly stable, so that they can put it on their main directory. So it's just their vetting process. That's the reason why it still says beta. There's going to be a point at which we have so many people using it. I mean, we have thousands and thousands of people using this integration, and it's just a review process. So as soon as Zapier decides that it's stable enough and that they feel comfortable like giving us a bunch of free marketing by putting it in their app directory, then that's what's going to happen. And it's just a matter of like tweaking a couple things and getting a couple things ironed out as far as like documentation goes and things like that. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Hopefully you do get the stable, clear, and get into this directory.
Totally.
Awesome. Josie asks, are there any analytical tools that we can connect Zaps to Manychat?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I don't know exactly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tam. Didn't mean to cut you
I was
off.
just thinking like analytics. I was trying to see why she asked that. But I think we were kind of trying to go there too.
Yeah. I mean, I can guess. I don't know exactly what you're trying to accomplish, but for example, you can hook up a Zap that fires an event to Google Tag Manager if somebody clicks a certain thing. So if you decide that a certain button click or a keyword is a conversion event, you could send an event to Google Tag Manager via Zapier. So that's just one particular case. There's people who are experimenting with that kind of thing, because tracking in Messenger is really difficult right now. People are spending money on ads to get people into Messenger. There's some stuff happening in Messenger and maybe some sales happening, but it's really hard without super meticulous tagging and maybe using some UTM parameters on every link that you put in Messenger to really understand what you're getting out of Messenger for every dollar you're spending on it. So for people who are doing ads, who are buying ads, for people who are doing meticulous tracking, who want to know what their return on ad spend is, there are some tricky ways to get analytical information from conversational actions, but it's just simply not easy to do yet. So you can set up Zaps that can shoot conversion events to Google Tag Manager if you want to start tracking specific button clicks inside of another tool right now. But to get a high-level picture of really what's going on throughout Messenger, that's not going to be simple. I know the Messenger team is working on that. There are rumors of a Messenger kind of pixel, very similar to the Facebook pixel, where you're going to be able to track the life cycle of conversations and understand which paths in the conversations convert the best and stuff like that. That stuff is on their minds. It's just the platform limitations of Messenger right now make these conversations very opaque from an analytics standpoint. So you can hack it, make a Zap that sends an event to the tag manager or some other analytics tool, but that's the best that you're going to be able to do right now. Did that answer your question, maybe? Okay, cool.
This is a Josie. Yes, awesome.
Awesome.
Dan, this has been really great learning from you about Zapier, from Manychat, connecting with MailChimp, GoWebinar, Stripe, all these different actions. I know I want to end on time, and I want to respect your time as well. Is there anything that you want to end off with after going through all this marketing jazz, all this Zapier integrations, to all the entrepreneurs and marketers watching and getting ready to use this? Anything you want to say before we end it off?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the 60,000 foot view. And I have to remind myself of this sometimes. I like saying this out loud. Messenger marketing is barely a year old, okay? Imagine being in the first year when people started figuring out how you could mass broadcast emails, or that you could chain email sequences together into autoresponders. Imagine like how so many companies were jumping on it and misusing it because they didn't know what they were doing, or just like not using it enough, or all the different protocols and how they were breaking. Some emails weren't even getting delivered. Server farms were breaking because so many emails were being sent. What I'm asking of everybody here is to look at yourself and realize that you're kind of a pioneer. You're jumping on a new messaging like channel that didn't even exist really until a year ago. Like the explosion in popularity of using messenger bots for businesses to communicate with their customers, it's like a year old. So when things break, when things don't quite work as you expect them to, when you see the potential of what this could do and it disappoints you, just sit with the disappointment for a minute. Like when you're an early adopter for anything, there's some shitty moments where you're like, I really want this to work. Don't stake your entire business on messenger marketing. As I would recommend for any new adopter of any new technology, like just because you see the potential of something doesn't mean that it's going to work every time exactly how you think it's going to work. And just because it doesn't work sometimes, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you did something wrong. So 60,000 foot view, this is a new technology. Everybody in this space is rushing to make the best tools possible to help people like you accomplish your goals. And we're super interested in doing that. And there are some amazing minds on these problems. And we're really proud of what we're building. And it's amazing that it is as stable as it is, frankly. And all I'm asking you to do is that when those disappointing moments happen, just like understand that you probably didn't do anything wrong. Number one. Number two, the world isn't going to end, believe it or not. And number three, chances are it'll get fixed tomorrow. So, just continue to have patience with us, and we're going to continue to serve you as best we can.
Awesome. What a great way to end it. Dan, and for everyone who haven't, obviously, is a user yet, Manychat.com, one of the best places online to build a messenger chatbot for your business, for your Facebook pages. If you're just getting started with Manychat, now's your chance to be that pioneer and to keep on working on your chatbot. And I'm really excited for the future. And Dan, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing with everyone. Everyone in the chat, please just say thanks to Dan. I already see some thank yous already, but I really appreciate it. We all really appreciate it, Dan.
Of course. Thank you very much, Tam. It's always a pleasure talking to your group.
Awesome.